Christine and Ariana, and this is This One Life, the podcast where we untangle the beautiful mess of being women in our 30s. You can think mindset, self growth, and the stuff that no one warns us about. So, today we are getting into the big 30s and our ever evolving expectations. But first, let's
But
catch,
yeah,
let's catch up a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, let's
How's it
have
going,
some
Ari?
live updates. Well, it's going well. We went a few days to Dubai for my birthday and for my first year anniversary, like wedding anniversary. So it was good. It lasted not enough, but still better than nothing. So, what
That's so
about you?
exciting. It's going good here as well. I just feel like I'm in the midst of like a huge like transformation personally, but I'm really enjoying the journey. Like I'm going through some hard like shadow work and stuff like that, but enjoying every bit of it, knowing that I will be on the other side soon and embody the person that I really want to be. So,
In your
so
30s.
in my 30s. Yes. As I just had my birthday, I was reflecting a little bit on my 30s going into the next decade. And I set an intention of being more courageous. That's my goal for these 30s.
Wow,
Mm.
I love it.
Did you set any
So,
intentions when you became 30?
so it was 2 years ago, so my memory is not really assisting me at the moment. But I think probably my intention was to give less cares about what other people think. So in some case, it could be really similar to being more courageous, or it could be like something complementary to being more courageous. But yeah, I think I spent most of my 20s really caring too much about what other people thought about me at work, friends, new people I met. And I was so afraid of becoming 30. And then when it just happened, I just felt like, okay, you know what? I feel really good. I didn't expect that. And I don't care about what other people think.
Love that. I had the
Mm-mm-mm.
same realization. Just like getting older makes you not care because you don't have time, right? You don't have
Yeah.
time to care about what other people think. You just
And
want to be
energy.
you. Mm,
Yeah. You
yeah,
don't
that's a
have
big one.
energy for that. Yeah, that's true.
That is a big
But
one. You don't have time or
mm-mm-mm.
energy for people's opinions. No, thank you.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, so true. And also, I don't know if it happened the same to you now that you're more like fresh out of this experience, but I was so anxious to turn 30 because it looked like this big milestone where after that everything changed, and actually of course nothing changes so abruptly, and there's no point in having an anxiety, right?
No, I agree. But I think is the thought like before you had the expectation that when you hit 30 you would have your life together basically. Like you would have the house or the apartment, you would have the husband, you would have gotten married, you would maybe think about kids. I don't know. So it's probably that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's also because I had some people in my circle that were a little bit older compared to me. And this is not a shade, of course. I can talk about my husband as well. So I'm not shading anyone else. But he also had this anxiety of turning 30, in his case, of being like at the peak of his physical condition. And I think in his case was like that. But I know other, for example, other like girlfriends, they were like, okay, I need to be married before 30. And I think it just gives you so much anxiety, and you're the one putting that on you.
So much stress for nothing. Like
Mm-mm.
what does it matter to get married before after 30? Nothing. Then they believe probably that they look better, or like from 30 you start to look worse, I guess.
Could be. I think that's also what, I mean, what like Instagram and social media kind of send this message where, like, okay, at 30, your life is just getting worse because your metabolism is getting worse. You will never look as good as in your 20s. But at the same time, thanks God, now I think there are many, like, content creators that show their, let's say, physical transformation at 40 years old, and they look so good. They didn't look like that at 20.
That's so inspiring. No, I know. And also, like, when you're younger, you're more like puffy and stuff. Like, as you turn older, you get more slim in the face and all of that. So
More refined in the cheeks.
that's a nice way to say it.
But yeah, it's true. And I don't know if it happened to you as well, but I was really involved and concerned about celebrating my birthdays in, like, in the proper way when I was in my 20s up until my 30s. And now I'm just like, well, of course I want to celebrate. I want to, like, stop for a moment and have a nice quiet moment with, let's say, my husband or my family, but it's really more about the intimate moments and the quiet moments and just stopping for a bit from your routines and normal life.
Hmm. I don't know. I always like to celebrate my birthday, but I think from the middle of my 20s, yeah, from
Hmm.
25 and up, like I started to become more aware of my
Hmm.
intuition and
Hmm.
starting to go more inwards and listening to myself. What did I really want? And
Hmm.
so I see that a lot of my birthdays from 25 and up have been very different depending on
Yeah.
what I wanted
Yeah.
at that time. Like
Hmm.
my 29th birthday, I had a big celebration. Like we went out to a restaurant and a lot of my friends came. We were probably like
Hmm.
15 people
Wow.
and we had drinks and was fun like that. And I just really craved it
Hmm.
because the year before I was pregnant with my first girl and I just like needed that social gathering. While
Yeah.
now I have two babies and my life is very like in the baby phase and I just needed some quiet time with my husband. So that's what we did.
Yeah, it really makes sense. And I was wondering, now that you hit the 30s and you enter this decade, did you have any expectation, like thinking about, for example, when you were a teen or when you were in your early 20s, did you have any expectation like, okay, when I will be 30, I will have this, and that, I will work at that place, let's say?
Hmm. I think as a teenager, I definitely thought like when I hit 30, my life will be over. Like the fun life will be over. So I would have to settle down and do like the, 9 to 5 and all of that boring
Hmm.
stuff. I think that's what I had in my mind. Big thing that I worked on when I got my oldest one 2 years ago uh, is that life doesn't end when you have a kid. Like you can still travel, just bring them with you. It takes a little bit more organization, but you can still
Hmm.
do that. And as you mentioned in the last episode, we went to your wedding in Italy with her and she was like, yeah, she was soon 1 year. So it just takes a little bit more effort, but it's still
Yeah.
very doable and it was fun, not tiring at all. I'm so happy we went there. So I had like the big expectation that life will be more settled and maybe like boring, but now I see that like it's just started and I
Hmm.
feel more eager than ever to just go for my dreams and my desires. And I feel like I have the courage, or at least
Hmm.
more courage now. I believe more in myself than I did back then. And I have my husband supporting me and good friends. And also, you feel like you want to do it for your family
Hmm.
as well. Like, I mean, for my husband and my kids, like, I want a better life. I want to go
Yeah.
after my dreams so I can
Hmm.
be more with them and have more abundance in life.
And I guess also, even if I'm not a mother, also being like a role model, a good example, right?
Yes, I have been
Hmm.
thinking about that lately, like the last week, especially that I would love for my kids to see me go after what I want because that's what I
Hmm.
want for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
So yeah, like turning 30 is not a problem at all. I love it.
Actually, it's the beginning of everything.
Yes, I'm super
Or,
excited.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do you feel now that you're a little bit into it?
So I must say that I wasn't the type of person, and probably it has advantages and disadvantages, but I was never, the type of person who thought like, okay, by this age, I want to have children, a husband, and all that stuff. Probably because I knew it wasn't only on me, you need to find the right person if you want to get married and have children. And all that stuff. So I never thought about that, like hitting a certain age and having that kind of relationship, family, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, of course, it was one of my desires, but not at a fixed age. But what I really wanted in my early 20s and also when I was a teen was like when I was hitting my 30s, I wanted to have my career life all together,
Mm.
having reached a certain position, a certain role, and all that stuff. And I felt like also that, when you reach your 30s, you need to have your ideas about work, about what you want, the role you want to have really put together. And of course, when I reached 30s, it was not like that.
What? It didn't happen overnight?
It didn't happen. And at the same time, I was seeing people like surrounding me, of course, having this career path and hitting all that goals that they wanted. And that was super nice for them. But also, I had examples from people that were like, I'm starting uni again, or, I'm going to study at this short course because I want to go from, let's say, human resources to marketing, just for an example of a friend I know. So at the moment, I really fall into the category of people that have not everything like put together, planned, and actually, I felt like when I hit my 30s, I wanted to discover more. I wanted to be a little bit more courageous, even if it's not easy when it's work involved, because especially if you have a family, you have other people relying on you and your income. But as you said, you want to balance that, in my opinion, with being like a good role model. And even if I don't have kid, I would love to show up even only for my husband and for myself as a person who strives for what she wants, and it's not just staying in, that comfort zone where you're not happy, you keep complaining with your friends at the telephone, and but basically you're not doing anything to change.
I love that for you. Oh,
Not
I
easy.
no, no, it's the hardest thing ever to change your behavior and your habits. So, so
Yeah.
hard, but so doable. But I have an example about what you said, you being a role model, and also for your husband, that he sees you go after something or do something that you have talked about and want to do, and that can inspire him. 2 days ago, this is super fresh, but 2 days ago, I started doing Pilates again, doing it every
Mm.
day. And then my husband was like watching me doing it, just being on his phone and scrolling before work. And during that day, or towards the end of that work day for him, he sent me a message about, I want to start gym again. Can you just like read through this to check that all the details are correct and stuff? Because it is in Norwegian and it's not his first language. And I was like, yes, that morning Pilates inspired him to go after what he had been talking about for a long time, which is starting the gym. So I was like, yes, that's so good.
That's
Love
so
that.
nice, actually, that you can influence the people you love in like a nice way, because it was not like you need to do this for your health, you need to do the same thing I'm doing. No, he chose his own like sport, his own way of doing what he wants. But of course, he was inspired by seeing you practicing Pilates.
Yes, because we have been talking about it, and I have been asking him, like, when are you going to start the gym? But I know that it's more about being the light, like being the person who does it, and then the other ones will catch on if they would like
Hmm.
to. But
Hmm.
it's, of course, easy to fall back in the
Yeah.
talking phase, like, oh, when are you going to do this? But it was just a good reminder of you doing what you want to do is an
Hmm.
inspiration to others, and that will motivate them to go after what they would like to do.
And I think it's the same with kids. I mean, if you want to teach them something, you need to show them. Like you first doing that. Let's say if you're screaming and then you say to them, don't scream, probably they are not going to follow your directions, right?
That's correct. They are definitely, they don't listen to you. They just copy your behavior. And so that's how they are naturally wired to learn. So once you see like bad behavior or behavior that you don't like in your kids, you need to go inwards and be like, whoa, where did they learn that? Do I do that? Is that a behavior I do? And then you need to change yourself first before your kids will change.
Yeah, so true.
Mm. But
But
also,
I was,
yeah, you're also building your kids' values, right? They have a tendency to like copy the values of the family. So that's also a big
yeah,
one.
I think talking about values, what a thing that really became even more important for me in my 30s, even if it was always important in my life, but now even more is values. I mean, sometimes, when you are in a tough like period of your life, I think it's really helpful that you know that you're strong in your values and you're not betraying them, if it makes sense. And if you stay true to your values, I think it's also easier to behave according to them, let's say in a difficult situation, or if you're in a difficult position at work, for example.
You're so right. And, but also when you're in a slump, you're like, if you look back at your values, you can remind yourself of what is important to you and then yeah, start doing that. If you value family time, then start hanging out more with your family because you know there's a reason why you had that value in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. I have this colleague at work that she's having a rough time personally and also at work. And she felt so like wrong, the wrong one at work,
Mm.
because she felt as her way of doing things and her character was not the right one. She was the wrong fit in that environment. And then of course she went through a path with a psychologist and a therapist. And what they did was to reconnect to her values. And thanks to that, also, she kind of regained her confidence. And she said, like, I know that I'm not like the wrong person. It's just, what happens sometimes in the work environment, it's not right, but I want to stay true to myself. Let's say I want to be honest, I want to behave with integrity, I don't want to lie and all that stuff. And that really helped her also kind of disconnecting from being just one, your work person and your like personal person, if it makes sense. But yeah, I think values really can help you in dark times.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I'm happy
Mhm.
she's doing better.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you one thing. Do you think you received, or in general, there is much pressure from society, and when you turn 30, like you have some expectations because of society and societal pressure?
Of course. Of course. So that's what we talked about before that I had those expectations because of the pressure of society and the norms and all of this, like the conditioning, you know? But after I started to work more on myself, I think from 25 and up, like I understood that these are these are things that is just put on us. It's not what we want ourselves necessarily. So I feel like right now I don't have so much pressure. I feel a lot of pressure from my parents sometimes and also from other people like family that are close that are just around me a lot because a lot of people haven't done the work on themselves. They haven't understood what is social conditioning and what is not, like what is their true desires. So they often reflect their insecurities on me. And that is important to be aware about of that people always reflect their own insecurities and fears, which is why you shouldn't really care about what other people think. As long as you are true to yourself, you're good.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. You touched a really big point about pressure that sometimes, of course, we don't do that on purpose, but family can put on you some pressure because they love you. They want to see you succeed, but sometimes their own definition of success is not yours.
Exactly. And I feel very guilty for not, for example, owning an apartment.
Hmm.
We used to, and then we realized like, oh, this is it. Like when you buy an apartment, you think that it will be like this insane. You will get so happy and all that stuff. And we just realized, me and my husband, that oh, this is it. Like it didn't give us anything, but everyone else congratulated us. And then 1 year after, we sold it. And now we are renting because we want to do something else with that money, which is totally fine. And that's our path. But I know that especially my mom is very like, she does not approve. Not really. She's smiling, but she doesn't love it. So, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
family gives a lot of pressure.
I think in my case, even if they didn't do that on purpose, but my family really wanted me to have life, like work wise, figured out when I reached 30 or 30 something. And I'm working, of course. So that's good. But am I doing the thing I love, or am I sure that this is the thing I want to do for the rest of my life? No, not at all. I think they saw sometimes people that keep exploring and keep discovering new passions, new like possible work routes after 30, like, yeah, but that person is not able to focus on one thing and keep going on that. So I think that judgment, that bias really stayed with me for a long time
Mm.
because I wasn't happy, but at the same time I felt like now it's too late what I'm going to do. But it's not too late. You still hear about people in their 40 or in their 50s that they completely changed their life and now they are much happier. So I still haven't figured out what I really want to do, like work wise, because I think probably I don't even have like a role model or someone that it's just easy to be like, oh, I like that. I want that. I think probably
Mm.
what I want, it's not there at the moment. So I need to build it by myself.
That could be actually.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm big into human design, and some energy types are meant to create their own path, literally. So you don't have it in front of you, but you doing a lot of different things makes sense. Like you will eventually use some knowledge from all those different things and like put them and create your own path. So yeah, we definitely need to talk about that another time
Yeah.
because it's a big topic. But yes, that makes sense. Maybe it's not created. Maybe you are meant to create your own path.
I hope so. I hope it
Mm,
comes soon as well.
yeah. But we just need to remember that family, especially like parents and family, they just want the best for us.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So even though it makes us annoyed and that sometimes we need to take a break from them, which is completely fine to protect our own peace. Because when you're in the beginning, you always like a little bit unsure of it. So I think like in that phase, it's extremely important to keep your boundaries and maybe like don't be close to those people who are reflecting fear.
Oh, yeah, so true. And sometimes, and I talk by experience, I think the best thing is to start a project or a hobby, whatever, keeping it secret. You just the one knowing what you're doing, and when you feel ready, you can share it with them. But sometimes having that peace of mind of not having other people around you like commenting or judging, and even if it's well meant, but just you and your project focusing on that, sometimes I think it's the best.
Yes, but it's also a balance because if you don't say it, maybe you just keep procrastinating, right?
That's also true.
So it's definitely a balance, but I am big on that. I love to keep my secret, no, my project secret.
And also your
So that
secret.
And also my secrets.
So, should we wrap it up? What do you
Let's
think?
wrap it up. This has been a
Okay.
good session about turning 30. I think the
Mhm.
conclusion is turning 30 will not give you so much clarity. You will still be, nothing will happen overnight. You will still probably trying to figure out life.
Mhm.
And hopefully you will feel more safe in yourself and more courageous and excited to go after what you really want.
Yeah. And maybe also what you said at the beginning, like take some time to set one intention for the year. Maybe not at the end of the year, but at your birthday, it's really fine. When you do some self-reflection, you can set an intention and then go back to that intention during the your year.
Definitely. And we would
Mm-mm-mm.
love to hear from all of you. What were your expectations for turning 30? And if you already are 30, what are your biggest hopes and fears about hitting that milestone?
Yeah.
Please comment. That would be so much fun to hear what you guys are thinking.
Yeah. And we'll hear you and see you in the next episode.